600,000 children go to public elementary schools in New York City. These children vary in their intellectual abilities. New York City has its share of boys and girls who show great intellectual promise. Vivian Velasquez's winning essay was selected from among 70,000 entries in the annual United Nations Essay Contest. The Bronx High School of Science has had 100 winners since 1958 in this annual social studies contest, more than any high school in the country. Although New York City has less than 2% of the nation's high school population, we account for 28% of the finalists in the National Westinghouse Talent Search. Some of these outstanding young men and women undoubtedly have been helped in their careers by a start in the intellectually gifted program in the elementary schools. This program is for children who show great intellectual promise. While it is not new, not every elementary school has classes for gifted children. When there are not enough pupils in the local school to form this special class, a central school is provided. At the end of the 3rd grade, some children are ready to be placed in these special classes. Principals find it helpful to meet with parents to explain the program and the standards for the selection of children.
But let me tell you some of the other things that we do in school before we decide that it would be right to subject a child to the heavier program that he must carry in a group of very bright children.
Oh, well, I thought you just judged by tests.
Oh, no. There are many other things besides tests that we use. Of course, we do consider a child's general ability and the way he scores on standardized tests, particularly in reading, but that's not all. The child must be physically fit, and the child must be emotionally ready. That is, he must be able to adjust easily to new situations. Otherwise, we may place him in a group of this kind and find that he's extremely unhappy.
Well, is there any other special quality that you look for in these children?
Well, the teacher may notice that some children have a greater vocabulary. That is, a greater speaking vocabulary and a greater writing vocabulary. Some children have more originality. Some seem to have a better memory. Some show much more independence in thinking and more imagination.
A project has been developed between classes at Public School 117 and Public School 118, Queens. The classes alternate visits and exchange ideas. During each visit, the hostess teacher presents the lesson, while the visiting teacher assists. In this mathematics lesson, the hostess teacher is developing some basic concepts in geometry.
What is a circle? Billy Henlow.
A circle is a closed curve in which all endpoints on the circumference are equally distanced from the center points.
Very good. Now he used the word circumference. What is the circumference? Yes, Clark.
The edge of the circle, which measures the length of the circle.
Very nice. If we want to represent 1/4 of any circle, how shall we do? Denise?
We make square corners with a straight edge.
Where would we make the square corners, Denise?
From the center point.
Good. In the center of our circle. Let's do it. You do it at your seat and I'll do it here. What then would these lines be called? Can you tell me, David?
Rays.
Why would they be called rays? David, since you answered.
Because a ray is a line with starting at one end point, going in one direction endlessly.
Which figures in this set have angles larger than right angles? Billy.
I see greater than a right angle in the hexagon and the octagon.
Children, I also want you to think about something, think about why right angles are important.
Will the chairman open and call the meetings to order?
Helping a child think for himself, to think critically, is one of the most important tools he can carry with him for the rest of his life. A child needs experience to gain this ability, and a study of a newspaper can furnish that much-needed experience. This 6th grade class had provision for the regular study of a newspaper in their breakfast club, where the children group themselves informally according to their interests. The children delight in exploring and discussing the day's events, the news both home and abroad. This also provides a great incentive for them to use television and radio programs intelligently. Let's take a glimpse at today's meeting of the Breakfast Club.
Boys and girls, this morning we're meeting again in our breakfast clubs. I'd like to make sure, do you know what we mean when we say mass media of communication? Leonard?
Well, mass media of communication is a means of communication which can get to millions of people, such as radio, television, newspapers, magazines, and so on.
Any other, Gary?
Well, also mass media arrives to the people at one time, and they find out at the same time of what's going on.
Well, this would only be true in certain mass media, wouldn't it? Which one would it be true of, for example?
Television and radio.
Perhaps we should remember that mass media very often uses propaganda as a technique. Now, just to make sure that we know what we are about to discuss, what do you think is the meaning of propaganda? Earl?
Propaganda is when one person or a group of people talk to another, or give their ideas to another person, and try to make that person think and do what they would like.
What would you say, Ronnie?
Propaganda is the art, or rather the act, of educating one in another's beliefs, and then making that person make that person understand what you are trying to do, and then he'll believe in what you're doing.
Anyone else would like to add? Jean?
Well, I'd like to add that propaganda is not necessarily truth and facts. It could be what you want them to think.
I think it would be fun and exciting to consider this problem of propaganda.
While these boys continue a perceptive discussion of the techniques and effects of propaganda, let's listen in as this group moves on to a discussion of automation.
Well, now they've been talking about robot teachers. Like they would have a teacher that would talk either on TV or with a computer that would help the children learn. But since we are only...
There's one thing that worries me, Leonard, and that is the robot teacher. I would like you for a moment to say, do you think that a robot teacher could take the place of teachers you have?
Well, I don't think it could take place of many teachers, because a robot teacher couldn't teach a child to think for himself. It could only give them facts and make them learn those facts.
You think, Leonard, that's a high priority for a young American?
Yes. I think a robot teacher would be awful for children, because right now when a child makes a mistake, the teacher helps him and works with him, trying to correct that mistake. And maybe if the child was, you might say, turned in the wrong direction, the teacher could actually work with him and teach him to think for himself and do the right things. But a robot teacher, in my opinion, would just contradict the child and say, this is fact, there's no opinion. And that would mean disaster for the whole school system.
Oh. Are you just concerned about the school system?
People wouldn't be people, they'd be robots going around on facts.
Well, I think, Leonard, you have set me at ease. I'm glad that I still have something to do to make both of you better people.
We've seen children given opportunities to develop oral skills. Similarly, in this 4th grade class, the teacher gives her English class the experience of thinking and speaking for themselves through a discussion of books they have read, and the characters they have met.
That Joey played the joke with the onion on Rufus and Jane. Iris?
Lori? That may be, but I think that Rachel would be a good friend because she plans for the future. She wants to be an ornithologist like her father, and I think I might like to be an ornithologist. Michael?
I never knew you had that ambition.
Iris, maybe you would be like to be an ornithologist, but I would also like to be Jerry because he likes rocks, and sometimes I start a rock collection when I'm in the country, and I just get all withdrew with rocks, and I love them so much.
Do these characters in the book really come alive? Does Eleanor Estes make them come alive? Do they have faults? Do you have faults?
I think it was humorous when people asked Uncle Benny who was in the family, and he said Mama, Papa, and Bubba, which was his pink blanket.
Is that a fault?
Kenneth, you may think that's a fault, but I think that the fault of exasperating was worse because Maddie, she was so exasperating because even though Peggy was her best friend, she was the most popular girl in school, she wouldn't tell Peggy that she was doing wrong by playing the joke on Wanda about the 100 dresses. And I think if Maddie wasn't a real best friend, then she would have. And that's really being nice to tell somebody what they're doing wrong so that they can improve it.
They say to have a friend is to be a friend. The Muppets and the Pies let us be their friends today. And now, however, we have to say goodbye to them. For there's so much more to find out about friendship. For your follow-up assignment, I think it would be a good idea to go to the library and find out what other authors have written about friendship. I think you'll probably find something of Bacon, which he wrote, I believe, a beautiful essay on friendship. One of you brought it in. Emerson's lovely essay on friendship, plays by Shakespeare, sonnets and poems by Shakespeare. And as John Mayfield said it, would you bring that chart there, children? He said it beautifully in the last 2 lines of his great poem, Sea Fever, when he said, "And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep, and a sweet dream when the long trick's over." What do you ask of friendship? And what are you ready to give?
Children in these special classes participate in many science activities. The principal of Public School 169 Queens organized a science institute.
Children, I am Professor Lawrence of the Bronx Community College.
14 college professors and other specialists met in individual classrooms with selected groups.
The light is dimmer. Now, would you like to reverse that? Would you like to hold that, and would you like to turn it? In other words, what we're doing here is we are turning a conductor and we're cutting lines of force. As we turn this more rapidly, we have a brighter light because we have a larger current. As we turn it less rapidly, we have a dimmer light.
When the experts completed their talks, 35 minutes were allotted to permit a child in each classroom to collect questions from the children and to prepare a summary for use in the auditorium program which followed.
Being that remote control is for TVs, how does it work without batteries?
Any other questions?
Yes.
In an electric motor, how is the electricity generated between the magnet and the coiled wire? Okay.
How many elements are there in the atmosphere?
How many elements are there in the atmosphere?
As a finale for the Institute, all 4th, 5th, and 6th grade classes were invited to the auditorium. By asking questions which were answered by the experts, the children had the opportunity to assume leadership roles and share their knowledge with their classmates.
Wonderful ladies and gentlemen that have come to us. We want you to listen very attentively to this so that you can share in all of the panels, not just the one that you listen to. Mrs. Rosner, would you like to take over and introduce everyone?
And now, you enjoyed what you had upstairs. It was not enough. You want to find out more, and this will be a little opportunity for you too, and also an opportunity to see the scientists and teachers whom you did not have a chance to hear before. I should like to start by calling the recorder and the man who spoke in his room.
First off, we on the Aviation Committee would like to thank Major Fred McGowan for a most worthwhile and educational lecture. And some of the facts we arrived at this morning were that the general design of a plane must be smooth in order for the plane to travel swiftly. Another one is there are two kinds of engines. A reciprocal engine, this is a gas engine, and a jet turbine engine. And another one, 3/4 of the power to lift an airplane comes from the top of the wing, not the bottom. And this is caused by the suction of the air. A propeller is an airfoil. This causes the plane to move forward in order for the air to act as a vacuum to lift the plane. And a helicopter is actually a large airfoil or blade. And I have some questions I would like to ask the Major. What causes a sonic boom, and what does that mean?
Well, a sonic boom is caused by an aircraft that's flying through the air at the speed of sound or greater, and as it flies through the air, it splits the air again to go above and below the wing, and as it splits the air, this causes a reaction in the airstream which creates a noise that we call the sonic boom. It goes off both above and below the wing. We hear the one that comes off on the bottom, and it strikes the earth, and we hear it as an explosion.
Thank you.
How do you know when a computer is broken and gives you the wrong answer? How do computers help a weatherman?
What is the exact geological future of Long Island?
What kind of chemical experiments can we do at home? What are the most outstanding recent leads and development in conquering cancer?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer in a short statement. However, some of the most recent developments consist of the use of chemicals to affect the cancer cells so that the lives of the individuals in whom the chemicals are used will be prolonged.
How does penicillin notatum prevent the growth of bacteria?
Is it possible for the National Bureau of Standards to be wrong in their measuring?
Well, Amy, I guess it's possible for just about anyone to be wrong, but it's highly unlikely that the National Bureau of Standards is wrong. What is fairly common is that they find a better way to establish national standards than what they have done before.
I'm sure that you share feelings of regret. And the regret is that we cannot be 13 people. I wished I could have been at all panels. But at least being able to hear these ladies and gentlemen on the stage made up for that a little bit. Now you can go out and read and study and learn more about all of these fascinating subjects. Let's just
The gifted child is given an early start in learning one of the foreign languages: French, Hebrew, Italian, or Spanish. Let's listen in on a Spanish lesson going on at Public School 33, Manhattan.
La tienda.
¿Quieres?
¿Quieres?
Ir a la tienda.
Ir a la tienda.
¿Quiere ir a la tienda?
¿Quieres ir a la tienda?
Muy bien. Sí, mamá, ¿qué necesita?
Sí, mamá. ¿Qué necesitas?
Muy bien. Ahora, esta canción. Vamos a cantar Do, Re, Mi. 3 veces. Do,
Re, Mi, Fa. Sol, me canso ya de sol, que ya no puedo más cantar el do, re, mi, fa. Do, me canso ya de sol, que ya no puedo más. Do, me canso ya de sol, que ya no puedo más cantar el do, me canso ya de sol, que ya no puedo más. Do, me canso ya de sol, que ya no puedo más cantar el do.
Muy bien, niño. Ahora, una revista. Aquí está un retrato.
Aquí está un retrato.
Muy bien. Hay dos niños en el retrato.
Hay dos niños en el retrato.
Hay un niño en el retrato.
Hay un niño en el retrato.
Hay una niña en el retrato.
Hay una niña en el retrato.
El niño se llama Andrés.
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 La niña se llama Susita.
La niña se llama Susita.
Muy bien. ¿Cuántos niños hay en el retrato? ¿Cuántos niños hay en el retrato? Ismael.
Hay dos niños en el retrato.
Muy bien, Ismael. Pamela, ¿cuántas niñas hay en el retrato?
Hay una niña en el retrato.
En el retrato.
En el retrato.
Muy bien. Muy bien, niños. ¿Y cómo se llama el niño? ¿Cómo se llama el niño, Miguel?
El niño se llama Andrés.
Muy bien, Miguel. ¿Y cómo se llama la niña, Gerardo?
La niña se llama Susita.
Muy bien, niños. Y los dos hablan. Repitan. Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
¿Cómo se llama usted?
¿Cómo se llama usted?
Me llamo Susita.
Me llamo Susita.
¿Y cómo se llama usted?
¿Y cómo se llama usted?
Me llamo Andrés.
Me llamo Andrés.
¿Cómo está usted?
¿Cómo está usted?
Estoy muy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted?
Estoy muy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted?
Bien.
Bien.
¿Y su familia?
¿Y su familia?
Bien.
Bien.
Adiós.
Adiós.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.
Muy bien. Ahora, ¿quién quiere ser Andrés? Ismael. ¿Quién quiere ser Susita? Pamela. Muy bien.
Buenos días.
Buenos días.
¿Cómo se llama usted?
Me llamo Susita. ¿Y cómo se llama usted?
Me llamo Andrés. ¿Cómo está usted?
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y usted?
Bien. ¿Y su familia?
Bien.
Adiós.
Hasta la vista.
Ahora, es tiempo para más revistas. Carmen y su mamá. Rápidamente. Carmen, ¿quiere ir a la tienda?
Carmen, ¿quiere ir a la tienda?
Sí, mamá. ¿Qué necesitas?
Sí, mamá. ¿Qué necesita?
Necesito una docena de huevos.
Necesito una docena de huevos.
¿De huevos?
De huevos.
2 libras de papas.
2 libras de papas.
Y 6 bananas.
Y 6 bananas.
¿Algo más?
¿Algo más?
Nada más.
Nada más.
Muy bien, niños.
You've seen geometry in the 4th grade, poetry and critical analysis in the 5th, and a class in foreign language. But Denise and Paul have special talents, and there is room for these also, participating in cultural activities that belong to every child. Our gifted children are encouraged to develop leadership qualities, to devote their abilities to worthwhile activities, to use their talents for the common good, to become the moral as well as the intellectual leaders of the future.